Good afternoon, folks. It's 4:30. I'll call the meeting to order. For public information, a copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted on the east wall of the Commissioners' room. Roll call, please.
Meyer,
Here.
Harris,
Here.
Knapper,
Here.
Reisig,
Here.
Blue,
Here.
Would all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You all have a copy of the agenda in front of you. Is there any changes?
I don't have anything.
Board, do you have any changes to the agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I move approval of the agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Hearing none, record your votes.
Okay to close?
Close.
Yeah, that's easy.
5 yeses?
I want to remind everybody that the board does reserve the right to move into executive session anytime we feel that it is necessary. We do have an executive session at the end of the agenda. Next item is the consent agenda. Does anybody want anything removed from the consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval as presented.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Hearing none, please record your votes.
Mark? Okay to close?
Close, please.
And you have 5 yeses?
Thank you. Next item, Road and Bridge. Steve?
Okay. John, can you hear me?
This is a
Lisa
public hearing.
Ryan. We have some roads topics that we're gonna go through first, so you got a good 10-15 minutes if you need to take off for a while.
Unmute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
This is a public hearing set for 4:30. Public hearing for the 1/6, 2023-2024 road improvement public hearing. Discuss and consider. Steve, you're up.
Alrighty, every year we have to do a 1 in 6 year road plan, submit it to NDOT, so they have a plan of how we plan on spending their money. So this year, we can go back here, get this back up here. In your package, you should have had a 1 year plan, kind of a summary, a map, and same with the 6 year plan, summary and the map and the costs. I believe I also gave you what is called our Form 11. That is the projects that we completed the previous year with the amounts on those. Last year, we had 10 projects on our 1 year plan. We completed 6 of them. One of them will be dropped. The other ones are bridge projects that did not get completed, and pretty much those were just engineering delays getting the engineering done. One of those is the County Road 5 bridge that will start up this month, or October 13th. The other one that was delayed was the County Road M bridge. And that's engineering, and then the river bridges. So. The other ones on there are the project numbers, the chip sealing, and the costs that we incurred for doing those projects. The next form you have is the Form 8, and that is our 1 year for this next year. We have 12 projects listed on that one. At the moment, we have approximately 12 miles of chip sealing in that year. It'd be a little over 4 miles on cook oil, 4 miles on sunflower oil, a mile on Swaddell, and then we're gonna do another 3 on Stiegel. After we see what winter does to some of these roads, we'll probably add some more next spring, so we might have a little Form 10 addendum to this. We're gonna see how the roads go through winter. and we'll add
The,
some more miles.
Steve, the 3 miles on Stiegel, is that the north 3 mile?
Yeah,
No,
yes.
south.
The,
You weren't
Uh,
doing north.
right,
You
we're
want to
gonna,
overlay the south.
right, we're gonna do the north 3 miles again, because this year when we did the north 2, we milled it and double chip sealed it, and we had some heat issues, and it didn't turn out as good as what we thought it would, or we're hoping it would. So we're gonna try and hit it again next year and see if it doesn't help improve it. So, this year we just did the north 2, we're gonna stretch it out and go 1 more mile, cause it looks like it's starting to get quite a bit of cracking in it, so. This last year, we did 17 miles of chip seal. Like I said, for this next year, we have 12, but I will add to that in the spring once we see what winter does to some of these roads. You know, we have more options out there. We're thinking maybe, you know, we have south of McGrew we can do, or we may even add on and go farther south on Stiegel, another 2 miles, so. And we also need to squeeze Sugar Factory in that was repaved here, so. We're gonna kinda wait and see what winter does, how it affects some of these roads before we add any more miles onto our chip seal. But for now, we have 12 miles of Cook, Sunflower, Swaddell, and the Stiegel in there for next year.
Well, plus the 2 miles of overlay, right? So
That's
40.
just the chip sealing, yeah,
Yeah.
we have, and another project is the, overlay on Highland, 2 miles there. Another
airport.
project, yeah,
That's
that'll
to
be,
the airport corner.
yes, yep, that'll be from Highway 26, the Napa intersection there, out to the airport. Depending on what it costs and fees, you know, I've instructed the engineer, you know, we have 850,000, if we can go 2¼ miles, we'll go 2¼ miles, so. Probably won't work out that way, but,
Good hope.
you know, if it does, great, so. Another little, won't be an asphalt project, but a concrete project is, 448, that is gonna be, the experiment curve coming into Highway 26 in Mitchell there. There's quite a few potholes and running out in that asphalt. So we have that in there this year. Infinity Construction this fall yet will go in there and put that to 8 inches of concrete instead of asphalt. So,
Now, Steve, although this is our 1-year program, certainly these things can be, tweaked somewhat, yeah, added on to, subtracted from, or whatever. This
Absolutely.
isn't set in stone,
absolutely, no, it
just a
is
plan
not.
for the state.
It's just a plan, a guide, you know,
And
we
for
can
us.
add, change, drop, whatever we want during the year, you know. Out of these 12, I don't anticipate the river bridges getting done this next year unless there's a contractor available to do that kind of work this next year. So out of these 12, I fully anticipate 10 of them we should be able to very capably get done. The 2 in question would be the river bridges, and then, another bridge over on County Road 35 that might be in question, but like you said, any of these can be, we can add in the middle of the year to this. If something pops up and a section of road just takes a dump or a bridge, we simply just do a resolution, a Form 10, and it's in the 1-year plan. So this is simply just a guide, something to go off of, so. Quite a few bridge replacements. County Road 31, we'll get the concrete slabs. Those are the slabs that we have left over from Carter. We'll put them on there. That's got a timber deck that is, below par. These are the chip sealing projects. I did not include in your packets, these sheets you see on there. Those are work progress sheets. Those are simply, gives the details of the road, how it's designed, what it was designed for. I didn't know that if you would want those or not in your packets. They are certainly in your books, just not in your previous packet,
Okay.
so. There's a bridge there. That is the County Road 31 bridge that we're gonna replace the timber on. It has steel, substructure to it, so the concrete slabs there will work great, and it'll bring it up to the 99-ton bridge instead of a 10-ton bridge, so.
And where's that one located?
31 and R, so it'd be just southeast of Minutair, kind of, south and east of the Minutair, I still call it the Minutair feedlot, but it's something else now, is where that one is at.
All right.
This one here is another project. This is up on G and 19 to replace this timber deck. This will be probably a double barrel concrete box. MC Shaft is working on the design for this one. This one here, the piling are slowly rotting off. It's in poor condition. I spoke to you guys during budget time about getting this one done. This is a very high traffic area up there, so having this one closed for, a few years would not be acceptable, as maybe the County Road 5 one was, where it's a lot less cars, so. Of course, this is the County Road M bridge that will be replaced this year. This bridge and the river bridges, the engineers are, right now we tentatively have set the first meeting in November to approve the bids. They're gonna come out for bids. And we're hoping that we can approve those bids, that first meeting in November at the same time while they're out here. This one here, you can see the gray colored pier, that'll get replaced. That pier is, still piling. They're substandard and have been welded on, so that is gonna be the major update there. Plus it'll get a concrete deck on it. So, and it'll be brought up to a 99-ton bridge as well.
And that's the one over, 9 Mile.
Yes, yep, that is overnight. And of course, the river bridges, like I had said, I believe at the last meeting, having a little bit of right-of-way issues with the southwest corner there, trying to get something worked out with the landowner as far as the staging area and access to get under the bridge, because that is by far the best area. But we'll get it worked out. It'll just take some doing. But this one and the County Road M, like I say, they fully anticipate at the first November meeting approving bids on those. So. This is the experiment Highway 26 corner I was talking about. It'll go to the bridge. Can't see it very well in that picture, but just past that gray van is where the little Enterprise bridge is. So it'll go around the corner to repair that with the 8 inches of concrete. What else do we got? That'll be the overlay on Highland, what was brought up earlier. We'll be getting done.
I have a question on that overlay.
Yep.
On Highland, are we gonna do the same thing there that we did at Stegall with the, kind of the, same process that we did before?
Well, there's two processes at Stegall. There was a single overlay, and Steve did a double overlay on the last 2 miles. I think it was just a single overlay.
Yeah, this will just be a single overlay. We're taking core samples. We're gonna mill 2 inches and just overlay 2 inches with SLX asphalt mix. There won't be the no mat in it. Once you put the mat in there, that's gonna raise that 850 up to 1 million. So yeah, it'll just be a mill and fill is what they call it, 2 inches. So
When do you anticipate starting that one?
when I spoke to Baker and Associates, I emphasized I'd like it done next spring, summer. So I'm hoping that we can get that in there. So
May to June, you're probably the best time on asphalt, isn't it?
probably, yeah. So. That's just the 1 mile of Swaddell to Chip Seal. That is north of Experiment a mile. It's an asphalt road going to a subdivision. It's another one of those of, why did we asphalt it? That just goes a mile. It's a 1 mile stretch. This is the one on County Road 35. It'll be a redeck. As you can see, the timbers are not in good shape. And this is a 2-span bridge. So I'm hoping we can get this one in this year. I'm not sure. It depends how long it takes to get the concrete slabs made and manufactured in that.
Is that done locally?
No, there's only 2 places in the state that I know of that makes these slabs. It's Odin Enterprises and Husker Steel. So Panhandle Concrete does not, because of the slope each pad has to have is to run the water off. So they do not. Those are the only 2 places I know of. I think for the last, how many bridges we've done with the slabs, they've all come from Odin Enterprises out of Columbus.
So it does have a steel structure underneath?
Yep. It also has steel substructure. To do the slabs, they either have to have a steel substructure or concrete piers or a concrete cap, something of that nature to set these slabs on. If it's a timber structure, we don't even mess with it. Yeah. So, and I, you know, back 50 years ago when these were built, I suppose that was a way they put nice substructures and a way to save some money just by putting the timber decks on them. So we're slowly weeding them out. We have a bunch to go, but you know, the slab seems to be the cheapest and
But they're certainly a maintenance issue, aren't they?
Right,
Is
yeah.
having to deal with them all the time.
you know, this one gets a lot of harvest traffic on it, so it takes a beating during harvest, so.
Primarily farm truck traffic, there?
Yeah, mostly farm truck
'Cause
traffic,
it's
harvest
out in
traffic.
the middle of,
As
I
far
mean,
as
it's
just
not on a
overall,
major
yeah. as fa-
thoroughfare.
Right, as far as overall everyday common car, no, not huge, but when it comes time to get to the market, it's used quite heavily.
How long do you think that it's been since this particular bridge has had anything done to it, Steve?
Well, we've put decking on it, but as far as anything like,
Any major thing?
anything major, probably, I'd have to say never. Usually with those steel substructures and concrete substructures, you don't have to do much
Yeah.
maintenance to them. It's just the timber deck that you have to replace the planks on.
Okay,
And the stringers, because the deck nails down, screws down to the wood stringers, so that is the majority of the maintenance on those.
Nice picture.
That's County Road 5 bridge, so that one there is supposed to start, we just had a pre-con about that bridge last week. They're supposed to start work on it October 13th is when it begins, they get 120 calendar days to complete it, so.
Okay, so that's, I don't know why I was thinking that one was already done. That's the one that
We've
we
been
talk
talking
about,
about it forever.
minimal traffic and,
Right, that's the one that has minimal traffic. That is on, 5 and F? Yeah. Yeah, just north of F. So it goes over Horse Creek. And the reason for waiting is just to make sure the irrigation water is off, and I guess there's some more water
so now
coming
is it,
down a little bit from Wyoming, so that's why they have the October start, so.
but as soon as the water allows us to do it, then
Right,
it'll be
right,
a priority.
right, because they're gonna reroute the creek to pour the concrete box in there, so that's why they're
I see.
a late start, so.
This worksheet's out of date.
What's that? Yes, yeah, the contractor's on, so.
Right there, pull back down again, right there. See, it says that's a girder bridge.
Oh, yeah, that should be changed, yeah, that should be
Update.
that should be a quad box on that, yeah. So, that's what that'll be, is a quad box, so.
Quad means four boxes?
Yep, 4 barrels, yep, so. That is pretty much a summary of the 1-year plan. As you can see, it totaled a little over $4 million for the work on that. That'll be covered between the regular budget and our buyback fund that we have, so. The County Road 5 bridge come out of buyback. That County Road 5 bridge also has the state bridge match in it of 200,000. The County Road M bridge will come out of our normal 300 fund budget. That has the $250,000 county bridge match in it that we get back, so. Any questions about the 1-year plan, I guess?
I think you're gonna be busy.
The summary of the 6-year plan, I have not added anything to the 6-year plan because, you know, it was quite lengthy. There's still 27 projects on there. 21 of them are bridge and 6 are either chip seals or overlays on the 6-year project. So, I brought 3 of the 6-year projects that were on the 6-year last year forward this year. Those were the chip seal projects for Swaddell and Sunflower and Cook, so.
So that list basically is not changing from what we approved
That list is
last
not,
year,
no, that list, the
Other-
only thing it's changed is what I took off to put on this year's 1 year.
What you moved up.
Yeah.
Moved up to the
Right,
1-year,
right.
1-year list, okay.
I don't know if, I guess I don't really think it's necessary to list 50 items on there, cause we can change it year to year, so. Same with the 1 year, I try to keep the 1 year realistic for what I think we can get done in a year with the money we have and the time. nice to have 25 one-year projects and get them done, but that's just not realistic, so.
Where was the Highland Road? Was that on the,
The Highland Road is on the one-year plan.
that always was on the one
Did
year?
it come off?
Well, it was on the 6-year plan, I put it on the one-year
You
plan.
put it up on the one
Right.
year, okay.
Right, and what was on the 6-year plan was to do all of it, clear to, Stonegate. So I changed that and just put the 2 miles on the one-year plan and left the rest on there, so. With hopefully being able to add on every year as we go along.
Something,
Right,
keep going east on
yeah,
it.
keep going, you know, and when that one's done, as we spoke about, we have others to hit, so.
That first 2 miles gets a lot of traffic compared to the others.
It does, it's thousands of cars a day out there, so. Total cost of the 6-year projects is $10.5 million. That's today's, you know, that, give it a year and I'm sure that's gonna go up the way things are going, so. That's the gist. I can get in more to the 6-year if you want, have any questions about it, but.
Well, it hadn't changed. I
No,
mean, that's
no,
just-
from last
yeah.
year it has not, just some taken off, so. And where this is a guide and we can change it by a simple meeting resolution, I just don't see that it's necessary to cluster it up and.
Did you leave some of Highland on here at all then? I don't see any Highland left on that 6-year.
I probably did not because I was probably thinking of doing it in 2-mile intervals
Maybe we ought to
because
just
of our
leave
budget.
some Highland on there maybe.
So, I mean, we can certainly leave it on there,
Well-
but where we can change this by a deal, I didn't feel it, I guess, was necessary, so. These are all projects that past superintendents have had on this 6-year list. Some of them have been on there quite a lengthy time, so, you know,
That's exactly.
we try to weed them out as we go and
It's a
as far as, you know,
yeah.
how bad they get or if it's important or.
It's a comprehensive plan,
Right,
it's a
right,
guess, yeah.
right, so,
I think I'd still like to see Highland left on if you got any room to squeeze it in there at some point, because people are gonna ask if people see this that's not on there, they're gonna be concerned.
right,
Cause a lot of people bring up Highland pretty regular to me.
so, it can be put on there, yeah.
I'd like to see it on there, at least so we know it's there. I know you're taking off some of it, but not all of it.
But as the farther east you go, the better the road is.
It's true.
Yeah, that's true. So, you know, and that's maybe one reason too. I felt like maybe we didn't have to leave it on. Maybe we can do a chip seal on the last 2 miles as it gets closer to Stonegate. It's not near as bad. You know, there's some patching that can be done maybe and do it that way. So, technically, since chip sealing is maintenance, it doesn't have to be on the 1 and 6.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so, I put it on there just so we have a way to track it of what years we did it, so.
And by then, something else may come up too.
Well, and that's right, yeah.
You never,
something else
you know,
may
there
be-
may be another method,
Right,
whatever, who knows?
Right, and yeah, there may be some other sort of deal we can do on Highland that
Yeah.
is
I was,
considered
I was
maintenance.
just, I was just on it the other night, and to me, it did look it wasn't that bad from
The farther out
east
you
you
get,
went, yeah.
it's not, yeah, but, yeah, there may be some other maintenance type thing that we can do on it that doesn't have to be
Yeah.
on the 1 and 6, so.
And it's, you know, it's just, it's a moving plan, who knows what's gonna happen. with it.
Right, so,
Okay,
At least we're gaining something, guys. We're gained quite a few miles in the last few years. Steve's been knocking a lot
Okay.
of it out.
so with that, I would entertain a motion that we either approve or disapprove the 1 to 6 year plan as presented.
Hold up,
Public hearing,
I'm sorry,
the public hearing part of it.
oh, okay,
give them a chance to.
right. This is a public hearing, I would entertain any suggestions or comments from the public this time. Anybody have anything to say?
The only thing I would add, like you said, things move. Today on Spring Creek Road, before we got on 26, or yesterday, that's getting pretty rough. But you got spots like that all over, so like you say. Whatever you feel is the worst, is the worst. One of my biggest concerns, it hasn't happened for a few years, is we get a 7,000 CFS or a 6,000 CFS run down that river. I'm really concerned about bridges, the one at Henry and the one south of Mitchell. I'm really getting concerned about that, and, that's something as commissioners and our district engineer had better have in their back burner. And that south pylon on the South Mitchell Bridge is still about the same. The way the water's running underneath it, at the CFS we have today, it's about 1,200, 1,500, I guess. We get like I say, anything over 5, look out, we're gonna have problems.
Well, there was some plan to divert some of that, wasn't there, a while back?
They did, but they didn't do it enough and correctly.
Yeah.
They tried, you remember that, Steve?
Right, with the
And,
riprap.
the water today, you see, right now they're moving environmental water down. 30,000 acre-feet of water is heading up Conahate, and that's running right now. The river elevation is up, but there's just a little trickle running in that overflow. Realistically, the way that water has come up, at least half of that water should be running in that little tributary they dug, but they didn't go west far enough, and they went too far north. And, so they, like I say, it wasn't done correctly, so.
And the state takes care of both of those bridges, would that be correct? I mean, they're responsible for them.
The state is only responsible for the South Mitchell Bridge. That is still their bridge. That, the South
Henry-
Henry bridges are ours. They are on the 6-year plan,
Okay,
so.
cause
I'm-
that, oh yeah, that's Holloway Road, it's not.
Yep, that's called
State
Holloway.
highway goes through
Right.
Lyman and into Wyoming, right?
Right. So,
Alright, so that's not a state highway. Alright,
Just a real quick example how things change overnight. Last Thursday, we had between 4 or 5 inches of rain up at Wayland, west of Wayland, below Guernsey. Goshen Irrigation had to give their long reach up and clear Wayland. When you get that high of water that quickly, the riverbanks accumulate logs or whatever, a lot of them broke loose and they hooked on Wayland. That Henry Bridge down there is a catch-all. And, that's an old bridge, it's a low bridge,
yeah,
and,
it's an arch bridge.
so like I say, those are all things that the guy has in his to-do bucket.
And we've had some high water, you'd think that we had a little experience with some of that. We should be aware of some of that kind of stuff.
You're right, Ken, I agree with that, we just, well, I found out the other day through some ditch company, Goshen had to take their long reach up and clean the
Yeah.
Wayland is a catch-all. And, they went up and cleaned it.
Aren't things a little better since they had a little change of management to the west? You know, we were kind of the dumping ground for a while. And I think we've got a little better management up there that are doing things a little different, I hope anyway. 'Cause I think we all went up and kinda spoke about being tired of the, of being their wastewater dumping down here at this end. At least I was there, and I don't know, I can't remember who else was all there. But hopefully they heard us, hopefully they were listening. And the bridges were one of the things that we talked about, I know. Anybody else like to speak? Anyone?
Steve, I commend you, good job you did.
Thank you.
Doing a good job. Doing a good job. Thank you, Bob. All right, hearing none, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion to approve or disapprove, whatever the board's pleasure is, the 1 to 6 year plan as presented this evening.
I'll make a motion to accept the 1 and 6-year plan as presented.
We have a motion to accept. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please record your votes.
Okay to close?
Close.
And you have 5 yeses?
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Thank you, Steve. I think you're still on, aren't you?
One
Still
more.
on?
Got one
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
There are 4
Uh,
sheets of paper.
Next item is discuss and consider approval of the LPA program agreement for statewide upgrading and existing stop sign location of rural roads with Nebraska Department of Transportation. I'm running out of air.
Yeah, I know, it's a lengthy one.
Yeah.
So this is a federal aid project that come about, obviously to update stop signs within the LPAs, local agencies. NDOT sent out applications, forms to fill out to submit where you would wanna upgrade your stop signs. And by upgrade, it'd be the stop sign and you see on the state roads where they have the reflective tape down the post. That is part of the upgrade that these would come with. So we submitted 71 locations in the deal, in the application. They approved the 71 locations. So this agreement here is simply that it's all 100% federal funded. We don't pay anything. All we do is install them and take care of them. NDOT will ship us out the stop signs, the posts, the reflective markers, all the goods. We have to go put them up. They have to be all put up by June 30th of 2025, which shouldn't be an issue. Unless they don't give them to us till June 20th, I guess.
Well, there is
Sometimes it'd get a little slow, but, like I say, it's all federally funded. It's just something to update our stop signs. We did a lot of major intersections, Stonegate, Lake Oil, all the major intersections. So, 29 of them were new stop signs and stop ahead signs. Another 29 were just a stop sign, and then 13 of them, was a stop ahead sign with the reflective deal. So this agreement is just between us and NDOT, saying that we will put them up and, take care of them as needed, the maintenance of them.
Do we still have a sign crew?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah. I wouldn't call it a crew, it's one guy. But-
one guy. Do we make our own signs yet out the shop?
Yes, we still make a few.
Still
own
make the
yeah.
signs, okay.
Yeah, so,
I didn't know whether we still did that or not.
yep,
So all the materials are being paid by others,
yes, by the federal government, so.
But then we maintain everything from that.
Right, which we maintain these stop signs anyway, so that's nothing out of the ordinary, so.
What about the posts? These are more expensive posts. They're a
We use
breakaway.
these kind of posts anyway. They're called telespar. They're a steel 2-inch post. They have a steel 2-foot stub. You drive into the ground. The post, you simply stick it inside. It just takes a J-bolt, and that's how they fasten on, part of the breakaway system. And then the signs just take 2 rivets to pop in 2 rivets, and then the steel striping. So we use these posts anyway. We
That's
have
what we're
these
already using?
Yep, we're already using them,
Alright.
so.
good.
Hubbard Seal would be on the state highway, so the state would be responsible for the stop signs there. So, yeah, any county road meeting a state highway, the state department is required to take care of those.
Okay, do you have a motion for approval?
So there's, I guess, first there was the resolution that we needed to approve the chairman's signature on the agreement. And that should have been in your packet. I can read it to you if you want, but.
Okay, the only thing I have is just discuss, consider approval. I don't have a resolution. Sorry.
Is that this, no, that's not this one.
No,
This
that is
has
the
to do with
certificate.
the
That's for
1
the
year.
1 and 6.
Right,
So it's gonna be probably a long form that she,
It's in the,
or they ask for every signatures.
yeah, there was one in here somewhere.
And it's just the resolution that everybody's approving the chairman's signature on the agreement. It says, whereas Scotts Bluff County is proposing a transportation project for which it would like to obtain federal funds. And whereas Scotts Bluff County understands that it must strictly follow all federal, state, and local laws, rules, regulations, policies, and guidelines applicable to the funding of the federal aid project. And whereas Scotts Bluff County and the Nebraska Department of Transportation wish to enter into a new project program agreement setting out the various duties and funding responsibilities for the federal aid project. Be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Scotts Bluff County that the Chair of the Scotts Bluff County Board of Commissioners hereby authorized to sign the attached project program agreement between Scotts Bluff County and NDOT. Scotts Bluff County is committed to providing local funds for the project as required by the project program agreement. And then it simply states the NDOT project number HSIP-STWD 203, and NDOT control number 01063, and the NDOT project name statewide stop sign program.
So we need a motion to approve that and authorize chairman to sign?
Correct.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Record your votes.
Hang on, I hit the wrong button, sorry.
Do you have that, Steve? I don't have one up here. I'm sorry.
It's in your packet,
Should be.
but I do need you to get him to sign that one. It looks like this is your front page. Who was the second on this, please? And am I okay to close?
Yes, which is the one that you want me to sign? The one that
He's
Steve
taking
has?
it to you.
Okay,
This is the one you have to sign, this is the one everybody.
okay, thank you.
Everybody else. Signatures for the 1 and 6.
Well, they approved it. Yeah, it's coming around.
Okay.
The one that we had two sets for them to
Yeah.
sign. Yeah.
Okay.
Good job.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, thank you.
Next item is discussion and explanation of budget lists. That's Mr. John Cannon, NACO President, and Candace Meredith. And I believe we're doing that by phone.
Yes.
WebEx.
Yep, WebEx. Hello, John. Can you see us? Can you hear us?
Howdy.
Hi.
I can. Can you hear me?
Hi, John.
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you for being here. And Candace there too?
I'm here.
Okay.
It's our pleasure. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be in front of you.
All right. Well, we had a meeting last time and I was asking for not last time, 2 weeks ago, trying to get the restricted funds authority approved, where you have to have at least 80% of the board agree to give you the extra percent to get the restricted funds addition. And we struggled to discuss it and explain it coherently. So Charlie says you have a way of explaining this process and what it would mean to us to either add the extra percent. I do have some paperwork to hand out. To not take the extra 1% reduces our restricted authority by about just under $200,000. So, anyway.
So, and Candace is on because she used to be in the treasurer's office. She's kind of a whiz at all this stuff. But on the property tax side, with the lid on restricted funds is a means that the legislature has put in place of restricting the ability for counties to raise the revenues for, undertaking county business. And everyone's heard about property taxes. No one likes them, and I get that. But by the same token, as evidenced by the fact that you guys were just having a pretty good and involved discussion about what to do with your roads, which that's the number one item for counties. You guys know better than I do that costs are not going down, and costs are actually increasing with the pace of inflation. And so, what the lid on restricted funds is, it basically says you have a base limitation of 2.5%, where you can exceed the prior year's budget by up to 2.5%. If you want to exceed that, then what you have to do is it requires a 75% vote of the board, of the governing body, and you can go up to an additional 1% of authority. Now, what authority is, it's not that you're going to raise property taxes by that much. It doesn't mean that you're taking the full 3.5%. What it means is you are giving yourselves the authority, and Lisa, I think what you just described is that it means an extra $200,000 of authority. That's the ability to raise funds if needed. So that's essentially how the lid on restricted funds works. Candace, you observed over time a lot of how the discussion about the lid on restricted funds has worked in well, in Lancaster County where you formerly worked, but also in counties across the state. So I'll invite Candace to jump in and give her 2 cents as well.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm kind of going to go off of some things I learned from Dennis Meyer. He was in the state auditor's office, and now he works as a Lancaster County budget and fiscal. And he kind of explains it in a way like to break it down. And so the lid on restricted funds, basically the lid limits how the county can generate the money. So when we're looking at restricted funds, those are basically receipts that the legislature has said are considered restricted funds. So those are like taxes, like property taxes, motor vehicle prorate, your in lieu's, your motor vehicle tax, etc. And the reason that they put these restricted funds in, as John said, is just basically to force the political subdivisions to reduce their property tax request. When you start looking at your allowable increases to authority, you know, you do have that 2.5% statutory authority. But that additional 1% that the majority of the board must approve, what I took note of, what I hear about, it's really a legacy authority. So basically, you're building up authorities. Most of the time, this is going to go into an unused bucket. This authority would carry forward from year to year. And you do not lose that authority if you don't use it. So it's basically like you're building up the authority in case something happens, as COVID has indicated, or the floods, or fires. There's so much that can happen that if you didn't build up that legacy in the future for other boards, 20 years from now, it could be in a predicament where they might not be able to spend on the necessary resources. And so that's how I kind of see that 1% piece. It really doesn't, the unused authority that you see there, it's not really an indicator of financial health. Again, it's just about bringing legacy and carrying year from year. And I think I heard Lisa say something about she has a spreadsheet. So if you just stayed with the 2.5%, probably what the difference is if you stayed with the 3.5%, and probably how it would impact you year after year after year. So that would be, I don't know if that made a lot of sense, but that's how I look at these restricted
Yeah.
funds on a lid.
I gave them an example of both with it and without it. Candace, John, one question to ask, because Scotts Bluff County tends to, or has in the past, run with a levy limit pretty high, 0.4, 0.41, 0.42, so we're at our max. So to think that we could garner emergency funds, we have restricted funds authority, but how do you use it, because we're already we're pretty high. We don't have like a 0.25 levy where we have little room to build. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so there's a couple ways of approaching that. One, as you know, you've got essentially we have a 50-cent lid in the Constitution of Nebraska, but statutorily it's really a 45-cent lid unless you have an interlocal agreement of some sort. So that would be something with either one of the, like either the city of Scotts Bluff or Gering, an interlocal agreement with another county, or something like that. But we only get to use that extra 5 cents of authority, of levying authority, if we've got an interlocal. And so you're right, Lisa. With you guys being right about 42 cents, that's going to be that really compresses your ability to really exceed that, other than by a vote of the people. However, that said, 2.5 cents or 7.5 cents, I mean that still generates a little bit of funds. And so I guess the question for you, and I'm not advocating for or against, because that's obviously that's a very weighty decision for the board to make. But what I can tell you is that unused authority, again, you don't have to use it. It just sits there. And so, going into the future, if through a combination of, the wise stewardship of taxpayer dollars, but, exhibited by the board, and other influxes of funds coming from unlooked for unlooked for places. They're coming from unlooked for places. You know, if you ever get to a position where you're in the 30s on your levy, but then you know you know, some sort of catastrophe occurs, or some sort of emergency, a road grader breaks down, you can't just repair it, you got to replace it, or something of that nature. Then you've got that unused authority that's sitting there. That unused authority accumulates over time, and so essentially, you know, a way of looking at it, and I'm not trying to sway anyone one way or the other, but another way of looking at it is, you know, if you have a credit card, you try not to use the credit card when you can, and if you use it occasionally, and you're building up your credit history. I can tell you, I get all these letters in the mail from these credit card companies that say, "Hey, we're going to increase your credit limit. Go for it. You know, go nuts." And I never do. Sometimes I'm tempted, but you know, and so that essentially is kind of what with that unused levy authority from the lid unrestricted funds. That's what that is your ability to demonstrate, as you demonstrate your stewardship of taxpayer dollars over time. You know, essentially it comes back in the form of, hey, if there's an emergency and you need to break out the credit card, that's sitting there for you with a higher credit limit.
Okay.
And Candace, I don't know if you've got anything to add to that.
No, that was a very good explanation. I mean, the other point is, I don't know how much you share with the other political subdivisions, but I have seen, you know, not, again, where you just reevaluate what that looks like as well too.
Okay. One more question for you. Okay, so if you would have a year where you do use this unused authority, I'll tell you, my board is very driven to stay out of the pink postcard meeting. So if you would use it, it's probably going to throw you into taking me over that 2.55% threshold of increase, which would drive us to that pink postcard meeting if it continues in the future. Would you agree? You can, it's there, but you'd have to explain it. But, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess, and again, if you know, and I know all of you. I mean, I know that you guys aren't there, you know, spending money willy-nilly. You know, I know that each of you, you know, that you're only going to spend the taxpayers' dollars if you absolutely have to. And so, you know, you have it there in case of emergency. It's like one of those things, in case of emergency, break glass. It's one of those items where if you ever have to break the glass, you're glad you got that sitting there for you. But by the same token, yeah, it absolutely is in all likelihood, it's going to put you in the pink postcard hearing. And I mean, you guys are already hosting the pink postcard hearing because WNCC, I believe, is on the postcard. It's just a question of as to whether or not you guys have to participate. I mean, you know, Kelly already has to be there to run the meeting or send a designate, but it's whether or not you have to explain to your taxpayers. And if it is, you know, truly an emergency, you know, road grader broke down, you know, there were locusts, blizzards, whatever. You know, I suspect that your taxpayers are probably aware of what's going on and what the needs are.
Perfect. What questions do you have?
So John, this is Mark Harris. Couple questions. Number one, would this have to be dealt with at budget time? Or if it truly was an emergency, is it something that we can tap into during the budget year?
I'll answer the first part, and I'm gonna let Candace kind of clean up for me.
Okay.
So the vote as to whether or not to exceed the lid on restricted funds, that occurs at budget time. Now, what you do with that, you know, during their calendar year, really what you're doing is you're socking that away for the future. And so my understanding is that if, you know, whatever you guys decide that you're going to budget for the current year, you're stuck with that. You're constrained by that. But what it's doing is it's essentially creating that credit reserve going into future years.
For future years.
Yeah,
Future
so
years.
so that 1% really has really nothing to do. You'd have to, if you're going to spend something, you'd have to put it as an expenditure. So just by putting a 1% authority without adding any sort of expenditure, that's a little bit different. So basically what would happen if you guys didn't budget for something, and you need to budget for a large project, you would have to amend your budget to add that expenditure throughout the year.
But
yeah,
this is putting, I'll say, authority to, use this money, so to speak, or to exceed the limit. It's putting it in a bucket to be able to be the authority is to be able to be used later. Would that be true?
Yes.
And it's printed in our, what we had to put in the paper for our budget hearing next
Alright.
week.
And you know, up until this year, I've been thinking that, I've always thought that the best thing we could do is approve it, with the thought that, if we did have some kind of an emergency at some point in time, that we could dip into that if need be. And as you've already said, John and others maybe, that this, set of commissioners would probably think long and hard before they ever use that. But it does concern me a little bit if we keep adding to that bucket and filling that bucket up with additional authority, then I start to think about, what about future commissioners, and would they be as conservative? And so this is the first year that I've started to think, I'm wondering if we're doing the right thing or not by approving it. We've approved it every year as far as I know.
We didn't last year.
Oh, we didn't?
Nope, and our unused restricted funds authority was 1,419,000, and this year, if you see the calculations as they're rolling out, I'm at 1,257,000 if you don't approve it, or 1,391,000 if you do approve it. So it doesn't necessarily keep building, it's all part of the formula here.
Okay. So that's just some thoughts, I guess, that have went through my mind about filling that bucket up, so to speak.
Yeah, Mike, you're absolutely right. I mean, you know, on the one hand, it's something that you're preserving for a future board, you know, to build up over time. And the question is whether or not they're going to be as conservative as you guys, or if they're going to be like a teenager with a credit card and just go nuts.
Don't say that. No,
I think the year that we did pass, or the last time we passed it, our unused authority was closer to 2 million.
it's
No?
never been that high.
It looks like 1.3 is what it was.
I'd say I've only given you
Yeah.
one year back. I think it's been right around the 1.4.
Yeah, 1.38.
I can look back at
Yeah,
it
I've
anyways,
got it
and
here.
see what I've done the last few years, but. Anyway, we basically were explaining it right.
Good explanation, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions for?
Thank you, John. Candace?
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
absolutely. It's our pleasure. Thanks very much for the opportunity to appear here in front of you guys.
Thanks.
Didn't mean to keep you out so late.
Thank you.
It's not a problem.
Now
practically
you don't have all the
my
rush
wife
hour
prefers it.
traffic, John.
Yeah. Sunshiny
Yep.
out.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.
Bye.
You as well.
You too.
Bye-bye.
So Lisa, did I understand it that this requires a 75% vote,
I think it's 80%.
80? So,
Must be 75%, so that means 4 out of the 5 of you would approve
to vote.
yes.
Right.
And I'm sorry, it wasn't 200,000 as the difference, it was like 140. Cause I showed you both numbers with and without, and what numbers go into the lid calculation, that's what this first page is. And the bottom number flows to the second page. So, pages 2 and 3 of your packet are the same thing, only one has the 1% and one does not. So I just have to have your okay to put it on there, which would be having, unused restricted funds authority of 1,391,000 versus 1,257,000 without it. And if you do approve, we would have to sign the resolution so I can include it with the budget. You
So,
have one?
so we're approving the 1.3? Is that what we're approving?
Well, it depends on if you vote
Possibly.
yes, then I will be able to complete this form saying 4 out of 5 members approve the increase or 5 out of 5. And I can complete the form and have an unused authority of 1,391,000.
Okay, what's the board's pleasure?
Just to be clear, this does not increase our
Or ask.
ask. We're not raising more taxes.
Not this year,
by
cause
making this decision.
we're past that point, we're not
Right.
gonna change our tax ask. But next year, you could come in and say, hey, we are struggling, we need the bridge washed out on wherever, and we need extra funds, we can tap into this, is my understanding. And then you could go to the pink postcard meeting and say, we had county road whatever bridge washed out, very critical, and we need to fix this. I mean, that's one thing that we've been talking a lot about, or we had a bomb at the detention center, we had to fix the Fort South Wing, or I don't know, you could just think of any.
So we have the unused restricted fund authority, but we're not going to raise any additional taxes to do that. So the 2.5 or 3.5, what do you wanna do?
I make a motion that we approve the unused restricted funds authority,
Which one?
the one at $1,391,957.
Or just approve the 1% addition to calculate the unused restricted
Okay,
funds.
is there a second to the motion? Is there a second to the motion? Motion dies for lack of second. Entertain a motion for the, 1,257,784.14.
I don't think we need a motion for that, do we? It's just if we don't pass the lid,
We got a resolution we gotta
We have,
pass.
you have to pass the resolution, either
Oh.
one or the other.
okay.
May I have a motion for 1.257,784.14?
Well, you don't have to pass that one, if you don't approve the extra 1%.
The other one just goes
then
through
the other
automatically?
goes. I
Okay.
have to file the form.
Right.
Either way.
'Kay.
So you will have unused budget restriction for future use.
But that will be on that resolution then?
Nope, then
Right.
I don't need a resolution.
Okay, understand. Okay,
So we're done?
we're done.
So we'll have a unused budget authority of 1.2 million instead of 1.39 million.
Right, okay. All right, very good, thank you. Next item, discuss and consider a quote for the South Mitchell Tower Road repair. Tyler?
Or maybe a tower would be taken down. That would be a big expense too.
Too bad.
Too bad that we don't get it.
All right, gentlemen, you'll see in your packets here, the quote from Russell's Excavation and Construction to conduct the repairs on the South Mitchell Tower Road. For anybody who doesn't know, that, comes off Highway 92 and then goes back up onto, the Hubs Ranch, where we have our South Mitchell Tower site. Great deal of our radio equipment, also there's a KNED tower up there, and state equipment as well. At my last 911 advisory board meeting, I met with them to see if they thought that funds from the 2910 would be appropriate to spend on this type of project, and they felt that from the wording in, the bylaws of that advisory board, that they could not spend the money on this, as it's not a technological purchase, it's maintenance on the way that we get to the technology. So with that, I wanted to find some way that we wouldn't have to foot the whole bill. So I started talking to the state, Dave Collette at the Office of the Chief Information Officer, and also KNEB and the state is willing to pay $9,000 towards the initial cost, and KEB is willing to pay $2,500 per year for the next 20 years, $50,000 to earmark towards maintenance of that access road, so that after we get it really improved this time, then we'll have a piggy bank to maintain it in good condition going forward, and make sure we don't have any issues getting up there.
Okay, before we go any further, I would entertain a motion that we, abstain, Commissioner Reisig from any discussion or participation in this vote. Is there a motion?
And that's because he's a potential bidder
He's a
on the
potential,
project
he's a
or
potential
something?
bidder in the project, that's correct.
I'd second that.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
Knapper,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Reisig,
Abstain.
Blue,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes, okay, let's continue with the discussion then.
All right, so yeah, that's basically where we're at. So now the county portion would be, less than half of it right now, and my idea is to keep those funds from KEB in a separate type of fund that's only earmarked for maintenance on that road, so it doesn't get mixed up with any of the other funds for the 911 center, either the main operating budget or the 2910 or the 13 or the 14. And that way it's there to make sure the road's in good condition. So I guess, looking for your blessing to go forward with that plan to collect that money from the state and KDB and hire Russell's Excavation and Construction to do the work.
So the amount is, I'm kinda confused with all this, Tyler, and I'm sorry.
Oh, sure. The total amount of the cost is $17,900. The state of Nebraska will pay $9,000, so roughly half. And then
Okay.
of the remaining, KEB will contribute $2,500 this year, and then continue that for an additional 19 years to build up our piggy bank. So initially, we'll pretty much be picking up $6,500, $6,400.
Out of your budget.
Yeah.
Out of your, but, okay,
Yes.
okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion for that then, please.
And was this, already budgeted for, or which line item is this coming out of in your budget?
I'll take it out of machinery and equipment,
Okay.
cause I don't foresee, a huge need to have any big purchases out of that line this year. I don't have any line items that are anywhere close to, road maintenance, so, stuff like that usually comes out of machinery and equipment.
Okay.
is it something we could look at adding through that guideline, Lisa?
Yeah, we'll have,
Adding an accounting number for him for that?
In the future.
Okay, still looking for a motion?
I would make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Record your votes, please.
Okay to close?
Close.
You have 4 yeses and 1 abstaining?
Thank you. Okay, moving on.
Thank you.
Next item, discuss, consider approval of the chairman's signature on the DOT 2024-2025 operating agreement, Tri-City Roadrunner, as approved by resolution March 6, 2023. Kirk.
Okay, so this is, I guess, the next step in the formal agreement with the state. Back on March 6th, you all signed that resolution to apply for the funds. Then all that paperwork goes into the state, and they plug all the numbers into their agreement. That's in this really pretty format. Gets all the legalese in there as far as the award dates, the award amounts, all that. And then plugs the numbers in, and then we have to get the chairman's signature on it, scan it and upload it to the state, so they have an actual signed agreement on file. That's essentially all we're doing, based on the amounts I sent to them and that you approved in that resolution.
We've already approved it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I did make a copy of the resolution for their
Okay,
packet,
and I have
so
a
they
copy
have
too, so.
Okay, we have it right here.
So it's just, one spot for the chairman's signature on this agreement.
So do we need a motion to approve the agreement and authorize the chairman to sign the agreement?
The only thing we really need is, well, you've already approved the funds, so I guess approve the agreement. There is some language in here, the state does build in a little bit of I guess a fudge factor, to avoid having to do a supplemental agreement. But the numbers, on section 3 are the exact numbers that I presented to them. But if you look under section 2, item 8, the federal award number is higher, and that is, they build that in to avoid having to do a supplemental agreement because of, fuel prices and everything is a moving target right now.
Right.
So they've got the funds to earmark, we don't necessarily, this aligns with my 2-year.
So we signed the form to order more forms then. Get
Yes,
that-
sir.
yeah,
This
get
avoids
that.
This is essentially the formal agreement that we already approved back in March.
Correct,
Right.
just in their actual
Format.
legal format.
I'd move approval of the agreement and authorize the chairman to sign it.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
No.
Record your votes. Right here, right? There you go.
Ken, will you go ahead and hit the button? I didn't get that loaded fast enough for you guys.
Need to hit the-
Everybody or just me?
I'm just waiting on you.
Okay,
Okay to close?
close please.
And you have 5 yeses?
Thank you. Next item, discuss, consider approval of agreement between the Village of Morrill Police Department and Scotts Bluff County Sheriff's Office. Neil Hart, Village of Morrill, of the Morrill Board, and Troy Brown.
Okay, so, in the last week, the Moore Police Department, one of their sergeants who decided to move back to California, left them with just their police chief, for coverage and one part-time guy that works, actually the sheriff deputy on a couple of his days off, he tries to fill in as much as he can. So Mayor Hart, came to us and asked us for assistance, kinda similar to what the city of Minutair did here back, early this spring with when they don't have any coverage. They would ask that we could help cover emergency calls, and then they would supplement us with our hourly rate like we worked out with the Village of Minutair. Sheriff and I visited with them, thought it's a doable situation. We came up with a short-term solution, just like we did with Minutair, and hopefully, I know they have applications out for getting an officer hired. They can get somebody hired and help take out, then we could just step back and go back to business as usual. Or maybe look at a long-term goal if they're not able to fill that spot. But, we did work out the contract. I think you have one in front of you. I will present you with what we came up with, just like we did with Minutair on the costs. So basically, this is just a breakdown of deputies and sergeants, their hourly rate, what the benefits that we offer, would break down to add to those hourly rates.
Are we still doing this with Minutair, or do they have somebody hired down there?
We're still doing this with Minutair. They just have the chief and a couple part-timers.
So we're still helping them out too?
Yes, sir, we're
Okay.
still helping them out.
And this is the same rate.
This is the new rate from when we did comparability and the
Oh, okay.
deputies got their
With
raises. so
with
this
their
is-
new raises.
Yeah,
But Minutairs will be going to this.
this is the same as Minutair's.
Okay,
Now,
that's
are we
fine.
gonna use Morrill's patrol car, is that what we're doing?
When we're up there, we'll use our patrol car, and we add the $20 an hour to
Is it
that.
on here?
That's not on there, that's just the deputies.
Okay, I didn't.
It's on the
see that.
contract.
It's on the contract though.
Yes, sir, the contract will reflect that.
Okay.
So if they're up there, we have something here, they're still available to do whatever needs to be done back in Scottsbluff, or wherever they need to be.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Well, we trust you guys to do what needs to be done and make sure it's right.
Well,
I'm not gonna second guess how you guys do this.
Well, and poor Jay,
Alright.
Jay, I mean, he can only do so much, and now he's a one-man show
Yeah,
trying to cover 24 hours. And, you know, our hope is that we can fill in and cover for him as much as we need to, and they get somebody come on board to help out. If not, we can plan on the long term later on. Right now, we just need to get approval to help him in the short term, emergency calls, or even staffing a shift here and there to give Jay a break, so we can have some time off himself.
yeah.
Right.
I think what people don't realize, that's, you know, Highway 26, there are a lot of people going through that
Right.
community. If it were set somewhere north or south or whatever, a little,
Yeah, off the
little
beaten path, so to
off
speak.
beaten path, but,
Right.
but it's not.
No.
It's not. There's a lot of folks go through
Yeah, a
those
lot of stuff
communities.
travels through there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's our job. We're here to protect everybody.
And luckily, right now, Morrill's, the Village of Morrill has a great community.
Yeah,
I will give them that. Some of our smaller ones aren't so fun to be in, but Morrill is definitely right now.
they got a couple
and we
little
wanna help
shady
keep it.
businesses up there that we need to watch out for, but other than that, I think we're all right. Yeah.
This is not your night, is it?
I never get my night, always in the box.
I certainly think it's our responsibility to
Absolutely.
be helpful and try and work with the smaller towns and communities throughout the county, and certainly I appreciate trying to cover our costs in this, but beyond that, to be perfect on an amount
Right.
isn't quite so critical to me, in that we wanna be helpful.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what you've done, and those numbers look like you said, what we had done at Minutair, and so I think we wanna be helpful, and I'd certainly be in favor of it.
How's the
And
moral
I-
board? I'd like to hear from the moral board, how do you guys feel about everything?
So, thank you.
I seen you
everyone.
shaking your head, so.
Yeah, yeah, we're at a big need right now. We only have one police officer full-time, and of course Martha's helping us part-time, which is, we're so grateful for. And so we're just at a time of need, and we're just asking to help us out through that need. And we all know our resources are strained everywhere we go, you know, so, we just ask for a little help to get us through this tough time, and hopefully Jay gets somebody hired in our police department, we'll be back to full force.
You know, it's getting tougher and tougher on those smaller communities.
It's getting tougher, from what I'm hearing, it's tough to hire an officer.
Yeah, I mean, even in our communities, trying to hire police officers, but as those smaller communities are starting to shrink, it's tougher and tougher to have somebody move to those small communities and do the jobs, and that's hard, it really is. Yeah,
We have 3 schools in town, you know, so it's a big scary thing when you don't have an officer out there, so.
yeah, absolutely. I'm glad we can help,
Thank you very much.
glad we can help.
you.
Well, we haven't done it yet, we haven't voted on it yet, but
I have a couple questions for you, Troy. What's the term of the agreement? Is it 1 year?
Right now, there's no time.
It's just open?
It's just open, temporary, until they either come up with a solution by hiring new
Okay.
officers.
I was just wondering, you know, this is the second time this has came up, and you know, it kinda leaves these little towns at a disadvantage. If it takes us 30 or 45 days to put one of these contracts together, what would happen if we would have a kind of a blanket contract that he could activate at any time one of these little towns would have, give him an automatic 45-day agreement? Any one of these little towns comes to you or Mark Overman and asks that you step up and help them.
Right.
You guys could step in at that cost, you could lay it down, and then you could come to this board.
you're talking about the same kind of agreement like this.
But have it open, so
Yeah.
he could do it
Not a
in
bad
any
idea.
town in the county or any.
Yeah,
Which kinda slowly we're getting there with,
Yeah, I'm just saying if we could get you something, we'll.
right,
well,
have to basically-
conceivably, back in the old days,
right.
you know, the sheriff's department's kind of the cop for the whole county anyway. I mean, when you think about it, and it's,
Sioux County, Banner County, still that way.
Would
yeah,
that be
it
something-
really is, yeah.
Would that be anything that'd be helpful to you or not?
Well, Would their board need to approve it before that could do anything for
Right.
anybody anyway?
Right, we would probably have to sit down with their board, their city councils, and
But if
present it to
they-
them, get their approval, and then we could come here.
Well, let's say one of their guys had an injury, or, you know, we had a guy got, you know, things happen to police
Right.
officers, and if they needed an officer tomorrow morning, would you have the authority to just put one in there?
On an emergency basis, yes, we could.
Okay.
Now, we wouldn't have the agreement on pay, but it would be
Well-
assisting them in time of crisis, right?
Okay. Well, I was just wondering if we could have something kind of that you could activate, and it'd be good for 45 days until you can meet with both boards and get a permanent contract in place, you know?
But it would, I mean, I'm sure it would, definitely for them,
I just asked if it would help you.
right?
And that way you don't have to keep coming back to us for stuff.
Right.
Until you have the contracts, so.
And I don't see a problem with that. Now, we wouldn't make that part of this agreement or this vote,
No,
but you could bring that back to us later for other communities or
That's what I was-
anyone.
If they're interested in doing that.
They're interested.
Yeah.
Right, yes.
And that way, it would just give you that time to negotiate these things and place an officer there, and you guys can proceed with charging or setting up your,
Good idea, yes.
and then come back for a permanent agreement if necessary.
Yeah, later.
But it might only last 30 days, and you know, it would fit into that deal, and you guys could get it all done, and you wouldn't have to come through all this.
Okay, yeah, we definitely look into doing that, sir.
But I'd ask for 30 or 45 days on an agreement, or 60 days, whatever you think you're gonna need, and
Right.
I know you guys can make that work with these towns, and it'll be an asset to those people not having to come here to do this.
But a lot of times if they hire somebody who isn't trained, then they've gotta send them off, and so that 30 to 45 days may not be long enough to do what needs to be done.
No, they're 4 months at the academy.
Yeah.
And our guys is 3 months training just after the academy. I know Mitchell officer just graduated, and he's been riding with my deputies learning, cause he gets exposed to more things with us than he would, in 2 weeks with us, he probably spent 2 or 3 months in Mitchell before he ever seen anything like
Right.
that.
I think it would just give you an extra tool in your toolbox to work with towns if you had to
Okay.
initiate anything, and you could just proceed with it. 'Cause
All right, we'll look to draw something up, and we'll get ahold of the councils and.
Yeah,
see if
good
we wanna
idea,
look
Russ.
into that.
See, you're in on it.
I am.
There you go.
I'm telling you, I'm behind it.
Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion for approval of the agreement between Village of Morrill, Police Department, and Scotts Bluff County.
Well, I move that we approve the agreement between Scotts Bluff County Sheriff's Department and the Village of Morrill.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Record your votes, please.
Okay to close?
Close, please.
And you have
Thanks.
5 yeses?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next item, receive inventories from County Attorney, Weed Control, Detention Center, and the Sheriff.
You guys approved it, sheriff needs to sign. Troy, sheriff, Peter, Mark,
I'm supposed to be back here.
I need to see.
Have a motion to receive the inventories.
I will move to receive the inventories.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Record your votes.
Not
So,
ready.
Hang on, cause I
Oh.
was not here to do that, so,
I know.
who was the second?
Mikey.
Mike. Are we ready?
Record your votes. Okay to close?
Close. Next item, receive
And you
update.
have 5 yeses?
Thank you. Next item is receive update regarding robotics club, Giles STEM Club, Animal Inside and Out, Nate Rice, Extension Educator. Hi, Nate.
How's it going, crew? I have some documents that you guys can pass around. It's whenever we come, we always want to make sure that you guys can see all that 4-H and Extension is doing in our community, and so it's just always our pleasure that we get to partner with the county, and we want to make sure that you know that your tax dollars and funds are going to valuable purposes. So coming around with you, you'll see our quarterly report from basically April to June. So just a few of the programs that happened, as well as I gave you another sheet that is basically the up and coming for 4-H this year. I just put it together today, and these are just a few of the programs. I try to do a diversity so you can see all the different outreaches that we do have. Right now, we have everything from big day programs where we see hundreds of kids in that single day. Those would be like your adventure days and your top portion of Animals Inside and Out. We have our traditional 4-H clubs. And these are, the ones I listed here are actually not even our traditional 4-H clubs that go to fair. These are ones outside of that compete in different areas. And so these are special clubs that if you're very particular, so for example, we have some on just STEM, First Leg League, meats judging, livestock judging, these meet outside of things that would typically just go to fair. And then we also listed some of the partnerships and schoolwork that we do. Overall, this last year has been very, very successful in the 4-H program. We reached over 3,300 youth in Scotts Bluff County alone, which is roughly 60% of the youth in our county saw at least one 4-H program. Our traditional 4-H program, we've had our assistants now for 2 years, and so it's been pretty awesome because whenever you change that frontline person that sees the families, it's always tough. Communication practices are different, and so first year turmoil everywhere, and this year was super smooth at fair, which was awesome to see, just both of our family's sake and my sanity too, when we think about putting things away. And so Overall, looking into this school year, super excited. Right now, the biggest things that we have coming, we have all of our robotics teams just started. Our first practice was this last week, and we'll be kicking off next Monday. We sent 2 teams to nationals this last year, and so they got to compete against people from Japan and South Korea and Canada.
Where was that at, Nick?
It was down. So we actually got qualified for 2 of our teams. One could have went to Massachusetts, and then the other one ended up going to the Razorback location. And then in the long run, we got to both go to Razorback so that the teams could go together. And so we competed against 80 teams from across the world.
How'd they do?
We won a trophy, actually. Our younger team we got like 6th place in core values, which means the way that they interact with one another and how they behave is an innovation and stuff, which is really cool to see, because at that level, just being able to represent what you want to see your kids coming out with, like the values that you want them to see coming out of 4-H, is awesome. And then our older team, I think they got roughly 20th out of 80 on the robot games, which is, I mean, these.
That's not bad.
In other countries, so the ones we were competing, they can compete until they're 18, and our kids can only compete until they're 14. And 4 years from high school, that's huge. Like those
That's
kids were
better
showing
than
up
the-
with beards. And we're like, what the heck is this?
So really, once they, depending on if they're ag-related things, then they're gonna be going into FFA or whatever at 15 probably, and
A lot of kids,
that
yeah.
type of thing.
Our FFA, our 4-H and our high schoolers, almost all of our 4-H high schoolers are also in FFA. It's just, we partner heavily with FFA because it's the same kids, right? And so we're meeting those same purposes, right? And honestly, a big part of what we do is such a high percentage of our counties don't know a lot about agriculture and the kids in that young age. It's so sad to say, like if you go up to them and say, what's a center pivot? Not a single kid in a class of 30 will be able to tell you out of Scotts Bluff, and you're just like, oh, just look out the window. Let's look right there. Almost at any point in time, you can just look out the window and see some of that stuff. So that's a huge part of our job, is that K through 3rd grade, getting them to just see what agriculture really is in their community and how important it really is. I know many of them will never be on a farm and stuff, and how can we show them where their food comes from is huge for us. As we look into that middle school age, is getting them to think critically. How do we make them actually think about what they want to do in their future of their life business-wise? Can they think strategically, start coming up with a plan for their future? And then once they get to high school, our main job is show them their career options, right? What are the potentials that you can do once you leave, and how do we get you to come back to this community and give back to our area?
I've got a 3rd grader that plays a video game.
Which school is he in?
He's in Lincoln and Gearing.
Okay.
And he's got a video game, a farm video game.
Farmville Simulator, I guarantee
Yes.
it. I can almost guarantee it.
He's got, I think, 3 of them now. And he buys
They're actually
equipment.
incredibly realistic.
It's amazing. And we have these conversations about farm equipment and buying land and buildings, and it's amazing.
Yep.
It's amazing.
My
It's
master
just-
project was coming up with a video game, an ag video game.
Yeah.
And so we're like, half of our masters were just sitting down playing Farm Simulator because
I'm so
it was such
I'm
a
so
great
proud of him.
example.
He's not killing people and wrecking cars. He's out buying Gleaner combines and doing other stuff. It's so cool. It's just I have a ball with it. We sit and play that for hours. Yeah, it's the neatest game.
I need to
And he's
get
got
some
some
of
of his
my
buddies
family
doing it now too. Yeah, it's just amazing. 8 years
Spread
old.
The love,
Yeah.
spread the love. Well, and honestly, our biggest thing, that if you guys see anything on this list that interests you, reach out to the office, and we'll make sure that those that you care about can be a part of our 4-H and see how you like it.
Yeah.
It's a pretty exciting time right now.
As I tell all of you guys that come here, there's so many of the public that don't have a clue really what you guys do.
Yep.
They think 4-H, well, somebody beating the heifer into the show ring. That's what they think about, and it really isn't. You guys go to so much more.
I talk
So
to
much
my
more
friends
things.
every week, and
Yeah.
I told them, I was asking them because I needed stuff on, we're creating a health day for high school students to get them engaged in health programs. He's like, I need to know what a tech does, and his wife is a tech, a med tech, and he's like, what do you need that for? It's not in agriculture. It's like, well, you don't know what I do very well, do you?
Yeah.
He's like, you're a jack of all trades. He's like, well, it's education, right? 4-H
bet.
covers a lot of areas. So.
Bet. Thank you for what you do.
Yeah,
We
appreciate you guys. Have
that,
any
Dave.
questions for Extension Officer? Need help? Never hesitate.
We'll do that.
Thanks, Nate.
And
Thanks
thank you
so
guys
much.
for your wisdom tonight. It was on display, and I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. Okay. Okay, public comments. This time we'll take anything from the public. If anybody has anything to, Bob or anybody?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Going back to that tower.
It's just the way he described it, he's left now. But anyway, no, that's, you're exactly right. County Road 12, you go across the wooden bridge, back up, yep. Yeah, and so,
Has nothing to do with how much it was.
no, it's,
It's just called the South Mitchell Tower. They just call it the South, since it's South Mitchell.
yeah, it's not on a county road at all. It's so bad. They've got propane tanks up there for the generators. They can't get propane up there, so they want us to go in and fix the roads. So what I'm proposing is go up there, close everything up and seed and get those roads seeded back so there's something growing out of them. And when they drive those roads, don't drive them to death. Move over and work back and forth. And let the vegetation survive if we can. I'd have liked to had it in last month is when I was trying to, so those last rains we got, I think we'd have had a really good crop of grass coming. We'd have had a really good stand right now. I planted wheat a month ago and I got wheat like that right now. We'd have had a crop like you could. What's that?
I say I haven't been up there in years.
Oh, you can't get up without a four-wheel drive, or you gotta, I don't even know if a pickup will do it right now. You gotta go up with a side-by-side or a four-wheeler now. There's no way they can get a truck up to do any work up there or anything.
Then another comment is, real quickly is about what you just did with the local police department. That, nobody should ever be penalized where they live
No.
in this county, or any county for that matter, and police protection. And, thank goodness I have never had to use that service, but healthcare, and Leininger stood here 2 weeks ago, yes, with healthcare. I sat here twice waiting for an ambulance to come, not very long for where I live. And so, this business, like I said, we go back to this county board, these people are open-minded and they're doing a superb job. You don't forget where we live.
That's right.
Rural residents, so I really appreciate it, I think.
I,
I was told today, this afternoon, as I come down here, guy made a comment to me, said, give hell. No. No, you don't do that. Like,
Well, if you have a reason to, we'll take it. I mean, if we got a reason to catch it, I get it every now and then, but I try to explain where we're going. I mean, everything doesn't develop in 5 minutes or a month. I mean, some of these projects we've been working on 2 and 3 years. Before I got on this board, I mean, I'd already been elected and you took me for a ride. And we looked at County Road 5 Bridge and that wasn't even on the 1 and 6 at that time, Bob.
no, and I don't care whether you're an RD, the only thing that matters is you got CS. Common sense.
Well, it helps.
You guys have, another thing, please, let's get this county assessor thing settled.
We're working on it, Bob.
Long enough.
We're working on it.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, have we done anything on the board yet?
no.
Okay, I'll start. We got the State of the Valley coming up next month. Last year, I took your bill that you got, kind of broke it down. I think we used Russ's, mine, somebody else's, I can't.
Charlie's, Mark's, and
Our property tax.
Oh, yeah, we took all of us, I think all 5 of us.
Oh, yeah.
And just to kind of explain where all the money went for everybody. This year, my plan is to use as many departments who want to be part of it. And what I would like is and it doesn't matter, you don't have to, it's all voluntary. But what I would like is a picture of the department, depicting your department, doesn't have to be the department head or anything. Motor grader or truck, whatever. How much of the budget is going to your department? And just a brief description, a little bit about what the department's all about. I want to showcase the departments, I guess, is what I'm going to try to do. Just tell everybody how proud we are of all the departments within the county, and let them know where their tax dollars going. And that's going to be my presentation for this year. The 24th, I think. Let me look.
That sounds about right.
You said that none of the departments had to participate, but it could affect their budget next year.
Well, I only have so much time, so,
I have October 25th.
I think you're right, Lisa. Yeah, October 25th. October 25th. So if you could pass the word, and again, it doesn't have to be very long, not a lot of numbers, just whatever your chunk of the budget is, this is how much we're spending on your department. Just a brief picture, you don't have to use anybody's face if you don't, I don't care, but whatever it is. And I just wanna showcase the county, showcase the different departments in the county and tell everybody how proud we are that these are the people that are making the county operate. That's what I wanna do, so. If you pass the word to everybody, I would appreciate that. Tough week this week on meetings. Had a meeting at Region One, Region One.
That's what Mike said earlier.
Wow. Still arguing about I can't remember what they call it.
Work from home, remote.
The work from home remotely, but they have a term for it. We didn't decide anything, actually. Talked for an hour and a half about it. They have their reasons why they would like to do it. They sent out a survey to to all the employees. Of course, the survey came back that they really like working from home. So I don't know where that's gonna go. They're still working on it. They would have to totally change one of the policies. There are some of the board members that are okay with the way it's working, some that aren't. Some of the older folks, the older board members would like to have everybody there. They claim they're using all the offices. So we're, we're looking at that. But it was Area on Aging is looking to, possibly relocate, looking for a building, maybe do something.
Rent it to them, rent half of their building to them.
There's a lot of stuff out there, but, anyway, I was in meetings all day Thursday, all day Thursday.
Let me just mention the work from home. You know, when you asked about it the first time, I didn't really have a major opinion, it didn't seem like.
Yeah.
But the more I've thought about it, you know, I've asked this group several times, is everybody working here? Nobody's working at home? And the answer has been yes. And I believe that we require our people here to work here.
We do.
And, so the more I thought about it, I thought, you know, I'm not sure that, that's, I believe you can be the most productive by being a group, working together in an office, having some supervision. And, so the more I've thought about it, I would just tell you that, I would probably, agree that working from the office is better than working from home. That's my opinion.
Probably one of the best things for me is to get out of my house and come here.
Well, I expressed the feeling from this board is that we want them to be at the office.
Okay.
So, how it turns out,
appreciate that.
I'm not sure what's gonna happen.
Okay.
They're more of a referral. There's not that many that actually come to the office from the public. So, it works both ways. I'm not sure how it's gonna come out, but I know it lasted hour and a half discussion for the whole morning. I was late to every meeting because they all ran over. So anyway, it was a long Thursday, very long Thursday. So, sorry, Russ, do you have anything going on?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything, Steve, tonight, covered about everything we got going
Okay,
on.
Mike, anything?
I got the 911 board coming up this week. I've been doing some community activities a lot. I took part in the honor flight escorting those people to Colorado. Had a good turnout in Scotts Bluff, Geary. I'm gonna be, in October, I will be talking at a co-ed program for public health and emergency management. And I'll be covering the spiritual needs for disasters, as well as my past experience in a lot of areas. And I got about 5 meetings tomorrow.
One other thing, I did make the opening remarks for the bike race. And as I was walking to my car, a gentleman from South Carolina caught me. Said, "This is my first time here." He said, "I love it, and I'll be back."
Oh, cool.
He said, "This is one of the most beautiful areas I've ever been."
Well, what people don't know when they come here, they come from those wooded areas.
Yeah.
And they can see for 50 miles. They have
Yeah.
no idea what
They
the world looks like.
just loved it, absolutely loved it. He said, "We will be back. I guarantee you we'll be back." They just loved it, and, so that was Charlie, thank you for, I know you don't say you did a lot with it, but I know how hard you worked on this.
You did.
So, thank you very much. Mark, anything?
I don't, have anything real specific, we've had a few internal, committee things going on, but, yeah, we'll talk
Okay.
about that later. probably.
Charlie?
I don't have much to report on other than I wanted to just keep things on the front of our minds. Some of the things we talked about during budget time. You know, we wanted to reorganize a few departments, you know, look to see where we could find cost savings, whether that be combining offices or eliminating services or you know, just finding efficiencies overall. You know, there was some talk about the weed department, you know, joining the road department. There was some I just wanna keep those things in the front of our minds so we don't forget about them and come around next budget season and talk about them again.
We need to combine them
So-
sooner than later.
Those are just some things that I wanted to, that's all I really wanted to touch on tonight was to keep those things in the front of our minds, and if we could maybe, we don't have an old business on here anymore, but if we could put the old business
We
back
have
on
old
there.
business on here, we just didn't have any, and I took it off for the space.
Okay, so, yeah, that's all I have.
Okay.
I do have one thing I kinda skipped over. I need to talk to Lisa. That, in August, we took the bill for the insurance, you brought the bill up for the insurance at the airport meeting. Have you heard anything back from the airport on that bill?
Have you?
No.
I have not either.
So
We
I
need to
kinda wonder, this
initiate
is
again.
a month over 30 days now.
Well, that, we have that, and I think Steve's got a new issue we need to be figuring out.
A new one?
Yeah, he sent me an email today about something he's exploring.
Is it something you wanna talk about right now?
We can throw it out there, but,
Okay,
going through our electric bills for NPPP,
say that again.
going through our electric bills, we pay for the street lighting up at the airport, or the road, comes out of the road budget. I don't know that should be really coming out of our road budget to pay for the lighting up there.
How much?
We pay for lighting on our junctions, you know, like at Lake Oil and Stonegate, but this is the stretch going up to the airport and the streets at the airport. We actually get billed from NPPD for those.
How much is it, Steve?
That's like $450 a month.
There's
That's summer bill, winter time would be a lot more when it's dark.
Right, yeah, wintertime, of course, it's more because the dark effect. So, that may be something to come up for discussion, you know, in that, the airport authorities area, you know.
There's that,
That'd
and
be
we
our
never
rep's
did
job.
really finally,
I'll do it.
we never did finish the discussion with the clearing the roads, really.
Right.
We never did, other
I
than
thought
they
you
were
kinda
gonna,
accepted what was kinda there, to what you had explained to them that day.
well, he said, as long as
Is
you
that
take
not
it
right?
part of
I thought you accepted back, basically, when I was there.
I said we would be willing to take care of the roads if they were gonna pay for their insurance, that could be a bargaining chip. I don't know if they ever.
They never
We haven't agreed on it yet.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, they haven't come back to the table.
That's, I was wondering if you wanted to start the process to rescind that resolution.
That'd be a good way to do it, I think, to put it in a resolution, so something's in writing, cause there's
And
been too
put
many
in a
things.
resolution or rescind the current resolution.
I agree.
Okay,
Agree with
and
that
I say,
very
I didn't know if you needed, you were talking
No.
another resolution, I don't know what you want.
I'd mentioned that to them, that we've gotta make a decision, or we either gotta do away with this, or else bring back the property so we can collect the rents and then we'll pay your bills and then go from there, but we've gotta have some income to pay the expenses with.
Well, that'd be a place to start, is rescind that resolution and start over with something else.
The way you had it read, we can do that without it.
So we said it was a
It's
one-sided
a one-sided
resolution.
resolution, so yeah, so we can definitely do that.
Yeah.
But I was hoping that they would step up and do
Well,
what
maybe
needs done.
they wanted to have another meeting, I think, or discussion. When's their next meeting? Is
Well,
it this week, I
It'll be the
suppose?
first week in, November, or October, I guess, you know,
Is it?
yeah.
Oh, they don't have
So-
one now?
No, they only have one a month.
Okay.
It's the first Wednesday of the month.
Oh, is it? Okay, I didn't know when theirs
Okay.
was.
Lisa, do you have
Okay,
anything?
I don't know if, well, I'll bring it up, but pink postcards. Kate, I got mine today for the county.
Yeah.
Meeting is Wednesday, 6:05 at the WNCC Little Theater.
This Wednesday?
Participants are
Yeah.
City of Gearing, Gearing High School, Morrill Public Schools, not Gearing High School, Gearing Schools, Morrill Public Schools, and City of Minutair.
And Randy Mininger is going to moderate it for
He's
us,
gonna
right?
be our moderator, he's been given a lot of the ground rules, and I believe he has a script to discuss the intent of the meeting, just to keep the conversation, people can verbalize their thoughts, but it doesn't mean there has to be a
I
response.
talked to a lady today, said she called in about hers. She got one
Uh-huh.
card, and they said it was a computer glitch.
I wonder who said that. The number on here is the assessor's office.
Yeah, well, she called in, wanted to know what it was about, said it was a computer glitch, called the assessor's
I
office.
guess maybe, Jean,
So how
I
much
guess
are
we
these?
have to make them aware.
So how much are we gonna exceed by here? Like, do we have an average, or, I haven't got mine yet.
Okay, so the phone number on the pink postcards is the assessor's office, and Ken said somebody called the assessor's office and said that, and we're told it's a computer glitch that you got the pink postcard.
I would like to remind everyone that we can't believe everything we hear.
I know, but I'm just telling you, okay.
Well, I know, I mean, it was my chiropractor, I was there 3 o'clock today. She wanted to. I'll tell you when we're done.
Yeah, it's just something that if they're not aware of it, maybe they need to see
Yeah.
what it is.
Probably fielded, I don't know, 50 to 75 phone calls.
Yeah, I said,
Oh, so they are very well
I said it
aware.
wasn't a computer
And I'm gonna
glitch.
say on top of that, they're also getting, we sent out the yellow postcards for distress warrants, so they're also getting phone
That
calls.
might have been the one.
There you go.
You have one from
Also-
Marlboro there by chance?
So there's 2 things out there that they're getting right now.
Okay,
I'm
thank you.
sure she said it was her
I do
pink,
have-
a pink card.
There's
That's,
pink one and there's a
yeah.
yellow one.
I said,
It's technically Lyman.
okay.
It's technically Lyman.
Kurt, do you have anything?
Yeah, it's kinda funny, a lot of mine went
Yes,
down.
well, real quick, I just got an email this afternoon from Christy Warner from Kimball County Transit. And so I don't even know if we can actually do this yet, or something you would be amenable to. October 2nd through the 8th is the first ever National Week Without Driving. And I've got the email I can forward to you. What it is, it's a week to basically bring light to the fact that there are a lot of people struggling with access to their own vehicle or driving privileges for, aging, costs, disability. They just don't have access to transit. And what she's proposing, we have to wait to see if NDOT and FTA will even allow it, is basically a fare-free week during that time. If we were to do that, there's some ins and outs. If it's a Medicaid trip or whatever, we would likely still bill for those, but based on our average fares for a day, if we just did it on the fixed route, I don't know if we can do it just fixed route, we may have to do it across the board. It would be about $500 in lost fares for the week. If it was across the board for our demand response in that, it would be probably between $800 and $1,000 of fares that we would lose during that 1 week if we were to do this. We haven't heard anything back from the state yet. I just got this afternoon from Christy at Kimball, and she's trying to just do it more on a regional basis and possibly look at doing some radio announcements and things to push this region-wide with all the, and possibly even statewide if it takes off.
It's not like we're making a ton of money.
No, and it would be like I said, I guess I can forward this to you, and then if you have thoughts, concerns, let me know, and then once I know back from the state, I guess if we needed to do a resolution on it, the problem is October 2nd is our next board meeting. And having just gotten this today, we really don't have time to act on it, or we wouldn't be able to start it until the 3rd.
What's it called again?
It's National Week Without Driving.
We actually have a meeting next Monday, is it?
Monday at noon, yeah.
Okay.
We're having a budget meeting to approve the
Maybe
budget.
get it on,
Okay.
maybe
Could be added
get it
to
on
that.
the agenda.
Okay, if we can
it
clear this
comes-
to the state, it's okay, I'll put together a resolution, and that will be up to you. Like I said, between then and now, if you have questions, let me know, I can get you answers. So then if we bring you the resolution, you have all the information.
Get it on, we can talk about it and see.
Other than that,
Now, this is a
yeah.
very small
business as usual.
Okay.
Okay, very good.
Thanks.
So they're saying the tax ask.
Ladies, you got, anybody back there have anything?
I didn't hear you.
Heather?
Heather,
Heather,
Jane?
you guys need anything?
That is the change.
Kelly, anything? Okay, if not, then I entertain a motion, anything on legislation, I'm sorry. Anything, we have, don't have any? Entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of a personnel issue. In the meeting will be the, in the meeting will be,
Russ?
in the meeting will be the five of us, Lisa and Jean.
And your county attorney said he could join by phone if you need him.
I will make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? Record your votes.
Item of your whole bill. I mean, there's many components of your bill, but just that one.
A vote,
Charlie?
Russ?
Russ, vote, please.
I'm gonna vote yes on mine.
Okay to close?
Yes. Okay, go into executive session at,
5 yeses?
yes, 6:16.
No, okay.
Yeah, mine's over here. If it isn't, the sores are almost healed, Mark. I've got just a couple left up here, little sores, so in case it's not yours.
Yeah, they're coming.
Okay.
Oh, Kane's here already.
Man, how's? All
Got
right.
the tape going, guys.
Huh?
Charlie just went in the potty, so he might be just a second.
Let me just show you. Well, when we get done, I wanna show you some.
All right, we're back in regular session at 7:13. No action was taken. Roll call?
Meyer,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Raisig,
Yes.
Blue,
Yes.
Knapper.
Yes.
Yeah, he's here, he's just at the other. Okay, no other business, we're adjourned. Thanks for waiting for us, Kelly.
I didn't know I had a choice. No, you're
Hey,
welcome.
I'm just thanking you.
Thank you.
Yeah.